Greetings, society members, and we would like to begin this by our sincerest apologies for the delay in our December video. We did not intend for this to get stretched out so long, but we kind of pushed it to mid-December, and we had everything bottled, and we were going to say, let's do this video, and let's get everything out. And then the holidays hit, and then you got sick, and then I got Christmas COVID, and then we've had rolling blackouts and storms,
floods,
and catching up at work, and it was not ideal. You got your whiskey, but the video is a little delayed, so we apologize for that. You're going to see that there's no costume change. We're plowing forward. Our January is going to come right after this one. We're getting that in the can. All the bottles are done for that guy and ready to send out. So again, we appreciate your patience. We hope you had an amazing Christmas and New Year and Hanukkah and whatever else it is that you celebrate, but a great holiday with your families. And mine was an amazing Christmas Eve, a decent Christmas Day, and a really shitty week after that. So anywho, we are back to full force, and we are rocking and rolling. And this is a cool one for the society. You guys kind of benefited this month because I just decided to use a bottle and something that I had that I thought was pretty great and pretty cool and something different with a cool story that you hadn't had yet. And so we kind of filled the society members with some stuff that we had and juice on the shelf. But that doesn't mean it's not special. It just means I actually upgraded from what we would normally pour.
Absolutely.
Because it was just a cool story. And I thought it was Christmas time, and I thought we'd kind of jump in. But it definitely offers I will say, a unique collectability standpoint, a unique story, and then the most important is a unique profile of any other whiskey we've poured. So, we kind of just jumped into this, and I know you don't always kind of like catch up with some of the notes and stuff because it's not like I send you the tasting card, you know. So, do you know the history of Blade and Bow?
Well, I know a little bit about it, but I'll tell you that what's special about Blade and Bow for me was it was one of the first bottles in my collection because you gifted me Blade and Bow for my 40th birthday. And it was actually before we really got into bourbon together and doing all of that.
Hundreds of bottles ago.
Yes, many bottles ago. But for me, it's got kind of a personal, connection.
I forgot that. I know we've talked about it and I remember it, but I forgot it again.
Yeah.
And now you brought that up. I totally remember that.
So what was cool was he gifted that to me on my 40th. We had did a 40th birthday party at Tilted Master, the brewery here where we live in Elk Grove. And you had told me kind of about the key, although the caveat was, can I have the key? And for me, it was like, okay, well, I don't even know what the key is.
I don't think I ever got that.
You did. And the other kind of interesting, aspect of this is I still have the bottle. I never finished the bottle, and partly because it's kind of special, and it was something that I felt like I've never really had like a expensive bottle of bourbon before. Because if you remember from some of our past videos, I was the Jack Daniel's guy.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's kind of near and dear. And so, go tell the story. I don't know all the details of the story. I know that there was different keys to get into, the castle or. The area in which, there's different collectible keys from every bottle. I don't know, I remember how many it was. Was it 5?
There's 5.
5 keys. This is
which all represent
the Weller, right?
Correct. That's the buried headline.
Yeah.
As we talk about.
I didn't mean to give that up.
No.
But that's also, I think, why it's special. It's good juice, and it was kind of like my first inauguration into, good bourbon.
1935, the establishment of the Stitzel-Weller distillery, which became one of the most famous distilleries in the history of whiskey in our country, right? So one of the most important, at least. And Stitzel-Weller operated for we're almost right at 60 years, just under. In 1992, they shut down and they stopped producing liquor. But during that time before, you're talking about Stitzel Weller, where all these names come from, right? Like the Wellers and all that stuff. Pappy was made there. Like it's a super famous Buffalo Trace, what is now known as Buffalo Trace. A lot of the famous labels and stuff made there before they kind of moved on. Just I don't know, the center heartbeat of Kentucky whiskey kind of came from through this distillery that made it famous. So now the cool thing about modern day Blade & Bow, when they bought the distillery in 20 years after it's shut down, they walk in and there's 5 brass keys hanging above the distillery, and there are 5 skeleton keys. Blade & Bow, the name, represents 2 parts, the blade and the ornate bow of a skeleton key. So Blade & Bow is literally named after the keys. And then the 5 keys represented the 5 keys to making great bourbon. And so they categorize them out. It is the grains, it is the yeast, it is the fermentation, the distillation, and the aging. So those are the 5 steps to making great bourbon. They are the 5 keys or pillars or fundamentals to the distillery. They also have like another story on their actual website that says, it's also like the 5 aspects of Southern hospitality, and it kind of goes through that whole thing too. Feels like a stretch. Hey, listen, if you remember from day one, we talked about all whiskey is storytelling. Yeah. And that is the storytelling, right? So it is a great story. It is an amazing historic building. There are only 2 products built by Blade & Bow. And that is Blade & Bow, just like you drink right here, and Blade & Bow 22 year, which is in a gold label. Crazy rare. You never see it.
I've never seen it. Actually, I hadn't heard of it.
But there's 22 year and regular. They do have a key program, and they look wherever the key is that you said you did give me. I don't know where it is. Because this one came off of the last bottle I had. This one came off the bottle I had to buy to finish the pours. I know I thought I had another one, but
I'll look at the bottom. I'm almost positive that I gave it to you, but maybe not.
So these guys are little brass keys, and on the end of the key here, there is a number, and there is 1 through 5. And unlike Blanton's, who says that all letters are produced equally, these are not. So there are numbers that are more rare than others.
Okay.
Cool. But if you collect 1 through 5, you can become a 5-key club member, and you can register online. And if you ever if you ever visit the distillery, and while on the tour, you have all 5 keys, there is a special door that you can go through, and a special part of the tour that just you get to go on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that is again the story. It's the gimmick. It's the whatever it is. If it was a shitty whiskey, I'd tell you like it's all bullshit and don't worry about it. But it's not. So lucky for us, it's also a pretty unique and I think pretty delicious juice. I'm trying to think. Is there anything that I missed? So I think we've mentioned it before when we talked specifically about Stellum. We talked about the daisy chaining aspect of what they do. That is not true Solera, the Solera method. Solera method is both a winemaking term, it's a distilling term. So when they bought the distillery, they bought everything in it. And some of the things that are in there are extraordinarily old. And they have older whiskeys that they say they will never ever allow the barrel to completely dry. And every single, so this is a minimum year, 6 year, but they blend what they say is original Stitzel Weller juice is in every bottle. Yeah. So now again, that could be a minuscule amount, an eyedropper amount per barrel. Yeah. You know, they don't tell you how much of anything. Sure. But the fact is that the history of that distillery is still captured in every single
Well, that
bottle.
they're using the same barrels.
Yep. Well, no, they're not using the same barrel. No, I'm just saying they still have the oldest juice that from when they bought the distillery. And
I think you told me that when you'd given me that bottle, that when they went in there was still juice in barrels.
Well, you're thinking of probably of Orphan Barrel.
Well, no. I thought it was this. I know Orphan Barrel does, source different old barrels from different places.
Well, but the original Orphan Barrel was very similar. They bought a very famous rick house in the basement were a bunch of barrels. That's what they found. There's no recipes. They just had ages on the barrels, and that's it. And so, but this guy is. They say they put the old juice in every bottle still, or in every new release, and so part of that Stitzel-Weller lore is still in the barrel that you're getting here, or in the bottle that you're getting here. So, really cool romantic side of things.
Sure.
From a mash bill standpoint, it's a 51% corn. Everything else is kind of undisclosed. I don't know how much wheat. I don't know how much rye. I don't know how much whatever else. But from a profile standpoint, there is a unique profile to this one that I really don't get in many other Kentucky bourbons. And that is the presence of a peach / white peach. It's in the nose. It's in the first taste. You get this really cool peach, honey, hay kind of thing going on. And when I think about a dessert where I grilled peaches with like some kind of vanilla bean sauce and some ice cream and a pour of this, it just all works. You could also do grilled peaches with goat cheese and arugula and like some olive oil and drink this in the summertime. Like it's really kind of versatile, but man, when you say peach and then you start to have it, for me, I can never get it out of my head. And there's a few of those. Like we had some earlier tonight as we first got started. Larceny, I always think tastes toasted coconut and I can't get it out of my brain. This is one where it's peach and I can't get it out of my brain. So I'm going to pour you a little bit. We're going to smell a little bit.
It's also something that's pretty available.
Yeah, but it used to not be. But now, here's what's kind of, look, it's the sad and true aspect of what we do. This used to be something that you saw from time to time. It was more expensive than everything else that you were kind of looking at, especially early on. They were only a couple bottles usually, but sometimes it just wasn't there. And you could go long periods of time without it being there, and then sometimes you go long periods of time and there was always a couple bottles. The more and more labels that have hit stores and the more and more people are like constantly looking for what's next, it seems like this is kind of a sleeper that sits at your total line now for $65 to $70. And for the unique profile of it, I think it's a great bargain.
Absolutely.
If you started getting into this being here's what I think, and this is something I've kind of thought about to myself. So Blanton's used to be one of my daily drinkers. Now it never would be, even if I could get it, just because it tastes weak to me. Like from what we drink now, it's a super watered down whiskey. Look, all you people who love Blanton's and collect it and all that stuff and
are
constantly trying to find it. A, if you are, let me know. I got you. Two, it's just not what I would prefer to drink every week. But this is something that I think is interesting that I would drink. But at the price point, I can find it, I can drink it, and I can kind of maybe go collect my keys. Like it's kind of got a cool little built-in.
It's a cool bottle. The shape of the bottle's cool.
And if you notice, so there's like a 5-key logo, but also every single panel represents the different keys and tells you the story of the importance of each of those elements to bourbon making. So
it's kind of fun. It's got a neat little history. Unique, and even the keys. These are pretty cool. So when you go down and source one at one of your local stores, let us know what the number is. So.
I'll be the first to tell you that the clutching and hanging on to the Stitzel Weller name is absolutely a marketing ploy.
Sure.
Like, what you are drinking is not Stitzel Weller juice. It's not. It's in a very historic distillery, but it's new people, whatever. And despite the fact that they're adding a little bit in there to keep the name, it's not enough to implement or to affect what you're tasting. You know, you're talking a very, very small amount, you know, that would actually be represented in your bottle. So don't get deluded and think that when you drink Blade and Bow that you're drinking old world Stitzel Weller juice. You're not. You're getting...
Especially now that it's more available and there's more of it out there on the shelves.
Well, it's just that they're not adding the old stuff that they're claiming, that they're clutching that name. Because again, it's like if you bought...
Well, it's good business.
Well, yeah, it's good business. If you bought one of the most historic buildings of all time in American whiskey making, you're not capitalizing on that. That's a problem, you know. So anywho, let's keep going. So you're gonna get that peach. You're gonna get honey. The hay is kind of that fresh, grassy note that
I get a strong vanilla.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'm getting a very strong vanilla from this.
Well, I do have white pepper and vanilla because there is a little bit of a touch of heat on your first sip that you're not kind of really expecting. It is it's slightly lower proof than a lot of stuff we pour. I think is it 92 proof? I don't have the list of that down there, and I can't read this. 91, 40,
45.5. So yeah, 91 proof.
Yeah, 91 proof. Yeah. So
it's a little over your typical, which is about 90.
Yeah, but it is delicious. It is, again, I don't want to say it, but it's like it's in that same Blanton's world when it comes to what is most Blanton's regular Blanton's 93 proof, so 91 proof. It's got some character.
It's like Larceny 92.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that very approachable, drinkable.
It's also like a cool, fun bottle to bring somewhere, or to gift to somebody, like Mike did for me when I was getting into bourbon.
It's a good point, man, because the fact that you held on to that and remembered that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that until this moment. So cheers, sir.
Cheers, man.
So we got peach, honey hay on the nose. White pepper, a little bit of heat up front, turns into that vanilla, a little bit of an oak on the back end because you get some age. Finishing with, again, the vanilla, some light oak. And there is, and again, we mentioned this last time, one of the best things to do is you're going to taste after you swallowed. But if you actually, and then taste again, is where you'll get some actual like aged or worn leather. On the finish. So I'm gonna give my first sip. So for me, I can't stop. If you ever had a really ripe, firm white peach, early summer, there's a freshness, but a slight bitterness to it as well, because it's still a little underripe. And kind of that, like, I can almost feel like if I were to crunch on something, I could say, like, I'm eating a peach. I get that every time I drink it, and it's just ingrained into my brain. This is one of the few
It's
bourbons.
a more distinct stone fruit. Peach kind of flavor.
It's
a lot of people say stone fruit, but that can mean a lot of different.
Yeah, it's one of the few bourbons to me that I feel like if blind tasted,
you'd be
over and over again, I feel like I would always be able to kind of go like, I think this might be Blade and Bow, and there's not. We have a lot of juice, and there's not a lot of juices that I can say that about.
No,
and I always feel like I can kind of pick this one out because it's just got this bright acidity and a really delicate bitterness of fresh fruit, and I like it. I like it a lot. After the 114 proof Old Elk that we just did,
like candy.
Well, I'm not getting the white pepper right now.
I'm not either, but we had a lot of heat on that last one.
Yeah, so I do know it typically has a little bit of a little spice front end of the taste, but my palate was blown away, shotgunned on that Old Elk full proof, so on barrel proof. So this guy, again, it smells really nice.
It's a solid pour. It's one that, you should have in your collection. Cool story, tasty bourbon, and I don't know. I mean, this is one that you always know when you go to the store and you see it that you're gonna like it. Sometimes there's certain bourbons sometimes that I'll think, it was good, and then I try it again, and it wasn't as good as what I remember. But this one seems like always solid.
Yeah. And I'll also say this. Look, it's not a bourbon that, oh my God, it blows me away.
No.
We have plenty of those where it's like, I have it and I'm just like, this is super unique, and man, it's full bodied. It's rounded out in a way that it's just hitting on all cylinders. This is a food eating kind of.
That's a good point.
Of bourbon and whiskey. It's not something that's gonna dominate your palate. If you're looking for a heavy hitter or something that's just, man, it's in this lane and it's going to blow somebody away. This is not that bourbon. But if you've got somebody who likes more delicate bourbons and softer bourbons, and like I said, that acidity and stone fruit and that peach honey with an ice cube and this lower proof guy, that honey is really going to play. And again, adds to a whole nother world of things that you could, this is a bourbon you could eat or drink with a salad.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a great intro bourbon. I mean, this is, like it was for me. This is a really good bourbon for folks that
smells really nice.
Want to try bourbon, that want to get into it, that, want to try something that, pretty positive. That's probably a, kind of a 90%er kind of thing where most people will enjoy it.
Yeah. There's no one that's going to be turned off by any of the profiles. And I think that's important too.
I think it is too, because it is soft. And I think that's important, especially for folks that aren't used to, drinking a lot of different bourbons.
So again, become a Key Club member, a 5 Key Club member. If you enjoy this pour, this is a very sourceable bottle, no matter where you are.
It's a safe pick.
It's a safe pick.
Yeah.
It is a unique pick.
Absolutely.
Because again, how many times can you say that there's a whiskey that every time you taste it, you go like, I know what that is?
Yeah.
And there's not very many of them. We've got hundreds, and there's a handful that I know that I could personally pick out every time I taste it. And I'm not a regular drinker of this. In my entire history of having bourbon, this is my second or third maybe full bottle of this. So it's not like I drink it all the time so I know it.
And I think the last time I had it was probably way back then.
With your dad.
With my dad.
Yeah.
And it's been years since we revisited it. And then we tried it a little, about a week ago or so, getting ready to do all the bottling. And I was like, oh wow, that's good. Yeah. It's fun to go back and revisit some of the.
Well, you tried it again, man. I tried it when it was in a bottle way before last month, and when I was putting things in. So.
Well, yeah.
Like I said, we were sick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, cheers to all of you. I really hope that you guys enjoy this bottle. It is definitely a transition bottle, somewhere in between, usually a Society pour and a Fox and Pheasant pour. It's kind of in the middle, so it's definitely a December treat. But that's kind of also maybe some of the, if you're interested in getting into the into the Fox and Pheasant, understand you're getting things like this times 10.
Yeah.
But man, there's the leather and a little bit of tobacco now. You're getting like pure leaf tobacco, not cigar, not pipe, but like leaf tobacco. Nice and soft, and man, it's good.
It is.
It's good.
It's tasty.
All right. Well, listen, guys. We hope you had an amazing holiday.
Yeah.
We hope you had a safe and wonderful New Year. If you're local, we hope you have power and that you are not underwater and that you and your family are safe.
Stay dry.
Stay dry. It is is now January. We are going to go straight from this into our January pours. So please forgive us. We're going to look exactly like we look. We're super comfy. It's rainy and cold outside. Places around here were losing power this morning. So we are in sweatpants.
Yeah. There's evacuation orders actually that just came out.
Yeah, we've got full bellies. We had dinner tonight.
Great dinner.
We watched some amazing football games today.
Great games.
So so we're doing well. We hope you are, and we hope you enjoy this pour.
All right.
So
take care,
guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we will see you again literally in about 10 minutes.